Hey, Anthony, so great to see you. How are you today?
I am wonderful.
And still in a hotel.
I'm Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality.
Everybody, welcome to No Vacancy Live. I'm Glenn Hausman. That's Anthony Melchiori, and you guys are awesome for spending some time with us today. Anthony, every day it's getting closer and closer to the holiday season. I could feel it. Well, I guess because Hanukkah's almost already over at this point, but I have that Christmas spirit.
I have a question. My Christmas lights are up. My tree's there. My packed. Let me ask you a question. This is a very important question.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
When you go into a hotel,
yeah,
how many times have you wrestled with a lamp and couldn't figure out how to turn it on or turn it off?
Dude, you are speaking my language. Here at No Vacancy, I've been out there for years preaching that all the lamp companies have to get together and figure this out. Is it underneath over here? Is it down on the floor on a cord? Do I have to hit a button with my foot? You got to make it standard because I could spend 20, 30 minutes trying to figure this out.
There's a lamp on my desk that I have not figured out how to shut off.
Yep.
I tried like for 20 minutes.
Yeah. Well, you could
right here. Hold on. Maybe I got it. No.
Nope. No. All right. Thanks for tuning in, where we cover all the hardest issues unsuccessfully, apparently, because
possible.
Yeah. All right. Listen, I'm really excited about the holiday season, but I want to bring in our guest before I say the thing that I wanted to say. Today, we have ourselves Mr. Mike Nixon, both President and Chief Development Officer of Expotel Hospitality down in Louisiana. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. How are y'all doing?
It is so great to see you. All right, so we're talking about the holiday season real quick just to get us involved. And I saw today, we're recording this on the 11th for a little bit later in the week. AAA is projecting more than 150 million travelers going 50 miles or more during the 10-day year-end holiday period. That's 2.2% higher than last year and the second highest forecast since 2000 when they started tracking this. Mike, are you starting to feel that at properties managed by Expotel?
Yes, we are. I think it's just going to be a busy Christmas season. I think all the hotels are going to do well, especially the hotels that are in destination places.
Yeah. Anthony, how are you seeing that?
No, everybody I'm talking to, excuse me, is traveling. I'm not.
Right.
You feel it, man. And I can't understand that everybody's complaining about pricing. Everybody's complaining about they don't have as much money as they used to, but everybody's going on great vacations and traveling and going to their family and everybody's still going. So, they say, there's never been more credit card debt and people are taking money out of their 401ks at a faster clip than ever. Mm-hmm. So I guess they'll pay for it later.
Yeah. But Mike, as long as they're paying to stay in your properties, right? That's right. That's right.
That's
what's really
and
important.
Maybe it's got something to do with the experiential, factor. Instead of buying presents, we're going to buy a trip.
Yeah. You know what? I completely agree with you. What was it last week? We were talking about on the show, what do we want for the holidays? I'm like, I'm a satisfied guy. I don't need things, right? And fundamentally, as a society over the last 15 years since the Great Recession, we've moved much more towards experiential society than than having to have all those gewgaws and baubles and stuff like that to show off to your friends. And that's a great advantage for you, particularly in a great location here at the Renaissance in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So it's got to be good for you guys.
Yeah, we're loving it. It's so good. And I think this is, maybe a sign of things to come. We've had enough misery in the hotel industry, not this year and last year, but before that. So it's time we had some boom times as well.
Anthony?
Yeah. And it just seems like things are starting, like we're not thinking about COVID anymore. And it seems like people are just, now we have a lot of other things that we're thinking about keeping us busy. But I think also, it's not that people want to experience, but I also think people are stressed and tired and like, screw it. I'm going to spend money on something. I just can't take it anymore. I'm traveling. And I know everybody I know is going on 2-3 vacations. I haven't been on one in 6 years, but I'll eventually go on one.
I don't know. He was in Vegas last week. So
That was work, bro.
I know it was work.
I will tell you, I did a shoot for Hotel Impossible in Baton Rouge, and I think I stayed at your hotel. Are you right near? There's also a film studio or a film lot, or there's this big production that my friend was doing inside one of the film lots that I don't think is too far from your hotel.
I think I know what you're talking about. You're right. That's not too far away.
Yeah.
Yeah. They also operate a watermark photograph collection at the hotel down there as well, which is pretty cool. So, Mike, we're talking about how well things are going on the customer side of the business.
Sure.
Curious to how you're thinking about how your operations business is going and what you're thinking about, because we speak to a lot of professionals that have your role at different companies. They keep talking about getting squeezed on pricing pressure and all of these things that we all know about, including that L word, labor, that we try not to keep bringing up too much. Overall, how are you assessing the opportunities and challenges as we're on the precipice of a new year?
So from an operational perspective, we have the same challenges. It's a labor challenge, but I think that we've faced those labor challenges before. I don't think this is necessarily new. It may be maybe a little bigger than it's been in the past, but we're seeing the same kind of pressure. But I also think it makes us think as hoteliers how to overcome that. How do we be creative without making it an affront to guests? Because at the end of the day, it's still hospitality. We've still got to have people serving people, right?
Yep, and I think the issue for hospitality labor is I can kind of say it's like trying to find the on-off switch on a lamp in a hotel room. It's pretty hard to find the right person there.
That's right.
It's really going to be offset by technology, but I see a lot of hotels have the technology, but they're not using it. I can't tell you the last time somebody texted me saying, "Hey, welcome to the hotel," and I how do I text you saying I need towels? I don't want to call if I don't have to. If I right now, how do I turn on this damn lamp or turn off this damn lamp? I don't want to call you and ask you. I want just because as I'm talking to you on my podcast, I can actually do that without anybody knowing, and I don't have to get on the phone call. And so I think technology is one way to mitigate it, but no one's really very few people are using it the right way, in my opinion. And another thing that Glenn has probably heard me go on too much about is that Mike, you just said something that I don't hear a lot of people say. You was like, okay, yes, we have some issues. So what are creative solutions to solve those issues? Because those issues aren't going away. And I mean labor. It's like we start feeling as mid-level managers or executives or vice presidents or whoever we are that, it's so hard. Okay, I don't want to hear it's hard anymore. I don't want us to lower our standards because we have this perception that people have lowered theirs. And I don't think people have lowered their standards, especially younger people, as much as we think. We've just given up because maybe they show up differently. Maybe they, look at their phone once when we were talking to them and we get pissed off. And if we engage them, I find young people, at least the people that I mentor, are just as engaged if you give them engagement.
That's right. I think it's all about the leadership. So, with it, we get lazy is not the right word, but we get kind of accustomed to sitting in our offices as GMs and as AGMs and even as executive housekeepers when there's labor aplenty, revenue aplenty. And then all of a sudden there's a crunch on either one of those two items, and we forget how to go to a different department and help out. We forget how to get up and go to the desk and pitch in or answer the phone when it's ringing.
Yeah.
So I think that's really it. And then Anthony, on your other point on technology, you're a professional traveler, so you want to text and get where the light switch is. But the people that aren't professionals, they want to talk to a warm body, and that body better be hospitable. Or it's going to go horribly, horribly wrong.
Right, but you can tell in a text if somebody's being hospitable. Anthony, thank you so much for your opportunity to fix your problem. Here you go. Do you need a follow-up call? That feels warm to me. If I have somebody bring me the towels, if I'm required, here you go. Have a nice day. Anything else I can get for you? So technology and hospitality are not mutually exclusive, especially in today's day and age. Back in the day when we say, "Oh, if you don't service somebody's room every single day, they're going to shoot you in the head."
Yeah.
Like, no, service it right. And when I do need service, bring me towels with a smile. And I'm just tired, and you'll hear more about me on social media about the subject. I'm just tired of us lowering our standards to meet a perceived laziness on a perceived employee. That, again, those employees that come through your door, you may have to add 20 or 30% more to your training, or 20 or 30% more to paying attention. But people want to be part of a team.
That's right. And they want to please you. You just have to lead them in the right direction. So if you're not leading them, you get what you invest.
Like, a lot of people I know want to volunteer, but they don't. If you say, hey, would you come to my soup kitchen on Saturday and volunteer for 2 hours? They probably will.
Yeah,
but
then they'll show up.
They'll find the soup kitchen. So with the employees, they will do the right thing, but they may not find how to do the right thing unless you tell them. And then not tell them, hold them accountable. And somebody said, how do you do that? And I said, I'm insane with standards. Well, interpret that any way you want. If you're a more relaxed manager than me, then be insane in a way that makes you happy. But I'm insane in the sense of, I'm going to tell you about it if I don't see you doing it.
When I was a GM, I would say, don't make me use my dad voice.
Right.
That usually got the
job. Pull this hotel over right now.
I'll do it right now.
As Fiona Apple would say in one of her lyrics, my favorite, don't pull my trigger and blame my gun.
That's right. That's right.
That's great. I love the whole concept of it's if you lower your standards, then what you're really doing is telling the people that are around you they don't have to work as hard. They don't have to do as much. And that's really where you have that slippery slope. So, Mike, as president, how are you thinking about motivating the leaders within your properties to make sure that they're constantly engaging the staff that you do have in order to go above and beyond?
So it's super simple. It's always having that conversation. It's always, telling the story about, me saying, don't make me use my dad voice. It's always looking for input from the successful leaders to find out what they're doing that's making their show better than the other guy's show. And then it's instilling a little bit of competition between all of them. Everybody wants to see the report for, guest satisfaction scores, and they want to be at the top of the list. They don't want to be number 4 every single week.
Yeah. No, nobody wants to be number 4.
Yeah. It always fascinates me when you're in that room and people are like, oh, all right, I'm number 4 again. I would not be able to show my face.
No, that guy needs to go be an accountant or a girl or whoever it is.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, for sure. So, Mike, how are you thinking about utilizing then maybe some back of house technologies and stuff in order to allow the people that you do have to excel in hospitality instead of having to, push buttons and do stuff like that?
Yeah. So a lot of things, here, my latest fascination has been on these Roombas, the vacuum cleaners. That's it's not back of house, it's front of house, but it's kind of low key. And I think, that could replace an entire housekeeper if you're short staffed. Put one in every hallway. It's brilliant. I haven't done it yet, but I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, we had on Micah Green, who's running a company, Talos, that has these kinds of robots. They have Rosie the robot, and it's great. It's it's doing the rooms, it's doing the hallways, and most importantly for you folks out there, it apparently vacuuming you can get injured more frequently than any other job in the hotel, which is surprising, right? So if you're looking to save money, that's a great way to do it because you're going to keep your housekeepers healthier, hopefully, as well. So whenever that comes up, I like to make that point. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
So what are owners thinking about these days? What are their concerns right now? And how are you partnering with them for success?
So it's kind of a weird dynamic, right? Because they want to see the bottom line. They want to look at the budget and see that we're making progress over last year. So they're aware of these problems like labor, like the squeeze on employee to guest ratio. So they get it. So I'm not sure they're as much of a help, but they understand what's happening and where we can work together to come up with solutions. We do. Certainly, we've got some pretty smart owners. So I think that's kind of where we're at now.
I think any owner today doesn't understand those problems. And I don't think back in the day they shied away from them. I don't think they shy away from them anymore because they may own 5 hotels, but they probably own other businesses and they probably have a home office and they're seeing the same issues in their businesses that they're actually running.
Yeah, that's right. And when you see the P&Ls have similar increases in various departments, then it's like a light bulb going on rather than off in Anthony's case there. And they say, oh, okay, I get it. It's the industry.
Right. Yeah. Right. So, which is very helpful for you to make your arguments, but a lot of time there's still got to be a disconnect because they're not in the day-to-day business. So, how are you able to share ideas and thoughts and really be the benefactor of the property and the owner's mind?
Oh, well, that just becomes a matter of communication. As long as we're telegraphing that kind of stuff way far out, and we've got data to back us up, if it's a PKF study or the STAR report on top line revenues or occupancies, then I think ownership generally, looks to us to be their experts in the hotel business, right? So as long as we've got the data to back up what we're saying, it's usually a non-event. There's usually not a problem. The problem to me is on the, maybe the purchase or maybe even the finance side of the business, because you're trying to underwrite something with industry standards that you're used to over the course of 20, 30 years. And, rooms cost are more or closer to 30% than they are 20%.
Right. That's interesting. Anthony?
Yeah. One of the things that managers have a tough time, if you come in through the operation, underwriting, whether it be underwriting the hotel, underwriting the 5-year capital, underwriting anything, and they don't understand the concept of underwriting. So explain that in layman's terms.
Well, that's really just, kind of projecting the revenues and expenses for a hotel 4 or 5 years out to come to a value of the hotel, if you will. So when I do P&L reviews with managers, I kind of I start at the top and I drop straight to the bottom and say, this is what you got. And then I explain what a cap rate is. And I say, you apply a cap rate, this is the value of your hotel. And that's good or it's bad. And every $10,000 is worth $1 million or $100,000. Sorry. And so you gain $100,000 on the bottom line. That's $1 million in value. You lose $100,000, you just lost $1 million in value. And that really helps when they understand what you're talking about.
Yeah, right. And people understand that there was in one of the shows I did, there was a hotel that operated it was a water park, $50 million to build, and they couldn't get the financing, but it was basically built. 90% of it was done, and they couldn't get the rest of the finance. The guy walked away from it, and somebody came in and they got it for pennies on the dollar, and they were like, "Oh, this is going to be great," but they didn't realize something. To take a hotel that is not open yet, to get it open that's been sitting there for a year, cost you $20 million.
That's right.
So hotels aren't only real estate investments. If a hotel isn't a functioning business, it's like buying a mom and pop ice cream store or candy store, and there's no candy in the candy store.
Yeah.
What am I buying? If there's no hotel guests in the hotel, what am I buying?
Yeah, you're exactly right. And I come across that all the time, Anthony. I come across banks that want to shut down hotels that they foreclosed on because they don't want to operate them because there's so much risk in operations.
What?
But
Well, you got to do better than not being open at all. You'll probably sell some more rooms.
It's so hard to convince people sometimes when they don't understand what Anthony just said about it being a living, breathing business, not a piece of real estate.
I use it as a container of milk. You buy a brand new container of milk, you don't use it for a week, it's useless. You pour it down the drain.
That's right.
Now, are you going to sell me that container of milk? If you don't pour it down the drain, you're going to sell it to me? No, I'm not going to drink it. Right. Although I drank very outdated almond milk, and that was not a good idea.
No, that's never a good idea.
That's hysterical. So, Mike, you're out there. You go to all the industry events and stuff like that, right? So,
sure.
What are you seeing as a general sentiment you think for 2024 against what you think you're thinking for 2024?
I think the industry is aligned with my thinking. I'm kind of optimistic about 2024. Mm-hmm. I think that we've seen kind of a little bit of settling down. 2022 in my book was a great year. We have a lot of resort properties. Mm-hmm. 2023 didn't meet expectations in those resort properties, but it's because People are going other places. They
Right.
couldn't wait to get to the beach after COVID. They stayed at the beach for 2 years. And now they're like, oh, wait, we can go to Europe.
That's right.
We can go other places. So I think.
Did people go to Europe this summer?
Yeah, you think?
I didn't notice.
Yeah, Mike, we spent a lot of time joking like everyone we knew was like in Italy or Greece or
Yeah.
something like
Yeah,
that.
my brother was in Paris for a month. He's
Yeah.
never been overseas. He went to Paris for a month.
Portugal, Europe. Portugal's Europe, but like everywhere, everybody was away. My neighbors, every single neighbor was away. The only schmuck that wasn't away was me.
That's too bad.
And me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, your hotels are so busy. You got to stick around and do that.
And then when they're not busy, you got to stick around and help. It's just a double-edged sword. It never stops.
Oh.
Yeah, can I take that for a second, Glenn?
Mhm.
There was a time when things are good. We had how many years? 12 years, 15 years?
Yeah.
There was only 1 month of a decrease year over year. Oh, 1 month or 1 year. I think it was
No,
1
it
month.
was a 1 month decrease from the prior year over something like 136 months or something like that.
Yeah.
So we got used to people making beds and checking people in because, we're important. So we don't need to do that because we're too busy buying new hotels. Great. But during COVID, the real leaders not only made the beds and checked people in, but realized their roots and realized enjoy it. I'm working with a company right now, Cohen. And I tell you, there was a general manager that day was working the front desk from 3 to 11. And I go, he says, because I had some challenges and I decided to make some calls and I decided to work the front desk. And people that really love this business really understand that they're housekeepers and busboys that just wear maybe nicer suits and, drive a little bit nicer car and, have a fancy title. But at the end of the day, the most important person in our building is the housekeeper and the busboy. And when we forget that, and we forgot that before 2008, and when the crash came, I remember, I'll never forget this. I was in my room, my office, and I said to my assistant manager, I said, all the people that watered their carnations are going to be retired. And all the people that answered the phones are going to be retired. The people that are still walking the streets looking at reader boards, they're going to have a job.
That's right. That's right. Or driving through the parking lots and looking at the sides of trucks, all that stuff. And that's kind of how I started too, right? General managers just got used to sitting in their offices. There was plenty of help, plenty of guests, plenty of everything. Mm-hmm. So it was hard on those GMs and those front office managers and those AGMs that couldn't figure out how to get out of their office and to go work the desk. And we kind of put a policy in. We're like, no. If you're a GM and you still got a job, you're working the desk and you're probably working it 5 days a week.
I remember during COVID, and I think, Len, you were during the podcast.
Yeah.
A gentleman whose family, he grew up in the family business and didn't grow up in the family business when they were struggling. Grew up in the family business when everything was great.
Right.
27 years old, got his master's degree, smart guy, can build a business. And I said, what are you doing to cut expenses? And he thought I meant him. And he said, well, I called American Express and see if I can get my platinum fee of $500 waived. And I said to myself, man, that was a good experience for him. I tried to do that myself and they said no. But my point being is, it's the first time in his life that he had to realize what his parents went through.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I think this is a good exercise.
Yeah.
Oh, I do too. I think it's a great exercise.
I don't mean to dominate this conversation, but this really gets me out of bed in the morning. You people that don't get it.
Right.
And somebody finally agreed with me the other day, like you can't motivate people. You can give them a great environment. You can motivate them because you're giving this a great environment and you give them a carrot and you give them, hey, we can do this, we can do that. Wouldn't that be great? And we give them all the tools, but you can't make them want to do it. And we spend too much time trying to motivate people that don't get it.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you on that. I think that through leadership and through, great conversation with your employees, if you love your employees, if they really, truly are part of your family, I think they'll give you the world. I think they'll do anything you ask them to do.
I agree with you. I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah.
They love you and you love them.
That's right.
You love them one way and they're not loving you back. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about that person that looks you in the other day. I checked in, and this guy gave me no attention. But when I talked to him, I was like, "Oh, that kid's a valuable employee. That kid can go places." But face value was nothing.
Yeah.
But when we spoke to him, peeled the onion back. I said, "I'm willing to teach that kid." I'm talking about the kid. You peel back the onion, and you get an olive.
That's right. He's still this.
Right.
Yeah. I'm with you.
So
that could be a bumper sticker. Peel back the onion, get an olive.
yeah, I like that. It's a little wordy for a bumper sticker. Maybe two, but across, part one and part
He
two.
continued.
Yeah. So, Mike, so how are the younger people who have come up now in an atmosphere where first it was easy and then the rug was pulled out from under them in their whole lives? How do you feel that that's affecting them in the workplace, and how are you adapting to make sure that they can be excellent?
Well, they can't be. They're all terrible.
Yeah.
Until
Well, we're just giving up on this one. We're just waiting for Generation Alpha.
All of those young people, that's our fault, right? We raised them to be that way.
Yeah.
We let them keep the phone in front of their face. We let them not do chores at the house. We gave them everything they asked for. And we did it out of good feelings and good love and good reasons. It's because we didn't have all that stuff.
That's
so
right.
We're like, oh, you guys get to have it. Well, it turns out we weren't doing them any favors at all, because then when they get out in the real world, they don't understand how to adjust. So,
right.
So they're still good kids, and they're all good kids, but but you have to retrain the way their brains work, and you have to show them that it's only through extraordinary efforts that you get extraordinary compensation. And really, in our business, all you really have to do is pay attention, make eye contact, smile, and have a conversation with somebody you may not want to have a conversation with. That's called hospitality.
Yep.
And also taking the opportunity. If you're a third string quarterback and you get a chance to play on Sunday, Tom Brady, you take that opportunity. That's when you make a hero. And people don't. Right. I don't want to wait my turn. Or this is my favorite for my kids. No, it's different today, Dad. You don't understand. And my kids are great kids. They all work their butts off. But like, no, maybe I don't understand from where you're sitting. But I remember 9/11. I remember 2008. I remember, when I thought about selling my entire stock portfolio because everything was falling apart. I remember, like, every generation and every decade, we go through something. So you're going through something, and I don't think we, as the adults in the room, done the kids any favors by being able to buy a house today.
Yeah.
But every generation has had their challenges, and your challenges are unique to you, but challenges aren't unique.
That's right. And they haven't had, maybe except for COVID, because I think COVID affected the younger generation a lot more than it really affected us, right? Mm-hmm. But they haven't had a 9/11 or a World War II or a Vietnam. Right. They haven't had a huge national affront to their personal beings. Mm-hmm. And we've all had one of those. Yeah. So maybe COVID is theirs.
I don't know. It'll be interesting to see, but you're absolutely right. Because for us older people, I don't think non-financially, I don't think we lost as much because we already established in our lives. And it was kind of probably nice to hang out and do Friday Zoom calls with your friends and stuff like that, right?
That's right.
If I was my kid's age, it was devastating.
That would be devastating.
Yeah. But Anthony, you want to
COVID is theirs and COVID is ours, and COVID is probably maybe the worst of all because 9/11 changed things temporarily. I think COVID changed things forever.
Agreed.
9/11 was like 6 months. It changed things. Mike, you're from Louisiana, so you don't know what it was like up here in New York. But everyone in New York loved each other for 6 months. It was really, really nice, and you could just feel it in the city. And then after that, everyone went back to, hey, I'm walking over here. But it was nice while it lasted.
Leg on your car, you didn't get looked at sideways that you're one political affiliation or another.
Right.
Yeah. It was so, but COVID really did something to everyone, which is good and bad. I remember this feeling that we're all kind of jockeying, right, for our positions in life. And all of a sudden COVID said, oh, by the way, you're all zero. If you're a billionaire, you cannot leave your house. If you have money, you cannot leave your house. You cannot try to be buy that hotel. You can't try. You're done. Everybody sit down and shut up. And that was really interesting to me because it was the first time where we really stopped competing, and it was freeing for a second. So I think because you didn't have that history as a young person, all you know is your prom got canceled. You know, your wait, all my kids' proms, graduate, all that. And so it's probably much harder for the recover than it is for us.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I can't imagine losing your prom, losing your graduation, losing your homecoming game, all of that stuff.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Well, fortunately, we're way past that. That's so far in the rear view mirror now. You know, it seems like it's crazy. It seems like ancient history right now. And there's all sorts of new opportunities out there. But when you're out there, Mike, how are you finding deals these days? What's it like? Everyone always says you got to get them off market, but you know,
deals. What deals, Glenn?
Yeah, exactly. And if you do find deals, how do you get them closed these days?
It's super tough. We closed one deal this year in March, barely got that one to the finish line, but there's such a big disparity between, you know, sellers' expectations of value and buyers' expectation of price. Mm-hmm. And then once you agree to that, you got to get it financed. So now you've got a third party that says, we don't think your value's there.
Right.
So, and sellers are basing their value on their 4% mortgage rate that they still have. And buyers have to base their value on the 11% that's available.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, one of the things I found to close a deal is when I'm talking to a bank is Glenn said it'll be okay.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to start using that.
Yeah. Glenn said that we can make our numbers, and it
totally
every deal.
Don't worry about it. It's all
I'm
good.
old enough to remember our controller at a previous company that I worked for saying, I promise you I can get this hotel financed for 9% all day long. And we were like, 9%? That's like a miracle. Go get it.
Right. And
anytime somebody says all day long in their last part of their sentence, don't believe them.
That's right.
You learn very valuable things over here.
That's right.
That's for sure. But you know, Mike, this is a good time. This is another one of the talking points that I try to bring up as much as possible.
Sure.
Interest rates suck now, but historically speaking, they don't. And we have to remind this generation of deal makers that we had an unorthodox long period of time of basically free money. You gotta block that out and get back to reality. How do you see in the scope of things where we are right now with interest rates, et cetera, et cetera?
So again, I remember buying hotels or being involved with hotels that were being purchased at 11, 12, 13% rates. So this is not shocking to me. And I do think that we're coming off of, just a great run of, we got so lucky to get 3% rates. So I like to think those will never happen again, so that when I get a 6 or 7 or 8% rate, I'm super ecstatic. I'm like, yeah.
I remember somebody said to me, I said, well, there were 18.5% rates in the early 1980s. They said, that's not true. That never happened. That's not possible. No. Google search.
Yeah, Google search. My in-laws bought a house at 17% interest rate, and they wouldn't refinance it. And I'm like, you can get 9 now.
Right.
Why wouldn't you refinance it?
Wow.
Yeah. I remember my mother bought a house, a 3-family house, for $200,000 at 19%.
Yeah.
Or it's 18.5%. Somehow she swung it. And then the same house a couple of years ago is worth $2 million. She doesn't own it. It's away, but $2 million, but the financing was 3%. So they probably paid the same.
The payment for the same.
That's really ridiculous. Mike, before we wrap up for today, any final thoughts or message you want to get out there?
No, go out and be hospitable to people.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, man, I think that's just a great lesson in life. The more positive energy you put out there, the better the universe is going to treat you, in my opinion.
I like to say, take the ass out of assertiveness.
That's right. It's the only way to be.
That's hysterical. All right, Mike, stick around. We'll give you an official goodbye in a minute, but thank you so much for being here. Yeah, that was a whole lot of fun. I want to thank everyone for being here this week with us. And another thing you could do is, of course, you could download our audio version of this podcast wherever you get your shows. If you're listening to that right now, why not follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, and of course, all shows are housed at novacancynews.com. Thank you so much for being here. Remember, guys, you've got one life, so blaze on and
Be kind.